Okay, I've been really looking forward to this.
I'm so excited.
Today's guest is a very, very good friend of mine, very talented interior designer, wonderful person. We've been friends for a long time now. We're going to have some fun topics to talk about today, but welcome Whitney Solomon. Woo, with Whit at Home. Yay!
Hi. Thank you so much for having me, Seth. It's really an honor to be here. I get emotional thinking about it just because, Seth, you've known me literally since day one, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And so just to I think it's really cool that we've both gotten to see each other's journeys from, the very beginning to all the way till now and just continuing on doing that.
It's been a really fun journey.
Yeah.
And it's fun that we've both ironically done our own journeys, but still bumping into each other and
Yes.
I met Whitney when we were, she was staging a house for me when I was flipping houses. And that's when she worked with another company. And it was just and then you went off and you did your own thing and then you did something else. And it was just this growing journey that we both were on. It's been really, really nice. And so now we're here today and we're both just doing our thing. We're both really embracing our own talents and skills and just leaning into us. And I'm really, 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 really proud of you. So first and foremost, I want to say that.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So let's just kind of dive into it. I'm going to ask a bunch of questions that I think are going to be thought-provoking, not just for you, but for the audience. And I think they're going to be also just fun questions. So I'm just going to jump into it. So
Perfect.
Pretty basic, but how do you get started with an interior designer and a project with a new client? Just with you, Whit at Home, you're taking on a new client. How do you get started with an interior design project with a new client?
Yes. So a client sends an inquiry through my Whit at Home website. We schedule a time to talk about their project. So we'll kind of talk from a high level of what their overall goals are, what they're looking to do. Is it a remodel? Is it furniture selection? Is it an Airbnb? I kind of explain a little bit about my process and how I work. And, if they decide they want to move forward, we schedule a walkthrough. Okay. So during that walkthrough, it's pretty comprehensive. We're together for an hour to 2 hours. We're talking about more specific details, in each space. Mm-hmm. So we're going through talking about whatever it may be.
So what kind of projects, big, small, everything in between. You tell me, is there too small of a project? Is there too big of a project? What do you specialize in?
Right.
So that, just people know.
Yeah. So my goal is to really be accessible to everyone, obviously there's constraints there, but my goal is to really kind of be the everyday designer for
I like that.
the people.
I like that a lot. For the people.
The people.
For the people. For you guys.
Yes. And, I really, truly believe that everyone deserves to have access to an interior designer. So I don't believe that you should have to have some large, full-blown construction remodel to be able to hire a designer.
Or multi-millions of dollars to have a designer.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. So yes, a lot of my projects range, I work on anything from just styling a house. Let's say they have all their furniture in their home, but they need help with the little things, which I find a lot of times people really struggle with. Mm-hmm. So going in and just styling with, pillows, decor, art, things like that. And then all the way up to, full-blown remodel type projects where we're starting, big construction projects.
Yeah, and we've worked together with those before.
Yes.
I think that is incredible to say that because actually I was just talking with a friend and he was like, I want to redo my kitchen backsplash and maybe the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And, I'm just going to go pick out some stuff at Home Depot. And I said, hell no.
Yes.
I said, you're not going to do that.
Yes.
Because I know him and he would just pick out whatever is the cheapest thing.
Yes.
And I think when I said, you need to sit down and reach out to Whitney, I think you'll really benefit. Well, I'm just picking out some tile. I said, it's not just tile. You're going to look at that every day and you're going to be like, I hate this, or I love this, you know? And I would rather have you love this every day. Even as a real estate agent, I would love you to love your home.
Yes.
Whatever.
Or there's like a big misconception, I think, that everyone should know how to design their home. You know, I feel like that's really something I hear a lot of, like, you know, people kind of get down on themselves, like, oh, I don't know how to pick out furniture. I don't know how to, you know, select countertops and backsplash for a remodel. And it's like, you're not born knowing how to do these skills. You know, I can't do your job. So, yes, there are people out there that have an eye and, you know, are able to, may have a design opinion or know what they like, but it's a whole nother beast when we're talking about, you know, remodeling or putting together a whole space from start to finish.
And that leads me to say, okay, so what's your role as an interior designer versus just a trendy friend who has a design opinion?
Yes.
Because we all have those friends who are like, I'm so good with design. I've been on Pinterest for hours and I picked out this really cute thing.
Yes.
And it's like, yeah, you have a great taste, but like, I feel like an interior designer's role is much more comprehensive than just picking out a piece of furniture.
Yes, agreed. And so I think this is a really good question. And, you know, when you're talking about working with an interior designer, we're thinking about so much more than just, oh, you know, that sofa looks nice, or that's a cute pillow, or whatever. We're really thinking about it from like a holistic standpoint of, you know, whether it is a remodel or furniture selection. We're, you know, thinking about how are all these pieces going to interact with one another? What size sofa do we need? What size rug do we need? Where are we hanging artwork?
These are critical things. Like, people really underestimate like just measuring the rug, measuring the couch. Like, oh yeah, it may fit an 8-foot couch, but you don't want an 8-foot couch. You want a 6-foot couch, so you can have, you know, foot and a half side for, you know, coffee tables. And that is what you've done. I mean, just working with you, you're like, oh no, we need to take into account this and take into account. That's what I feel the designer has the eye and the foresight to see that. Versus just like, that's a cute couch. Thanks, trendy friend. You know, like whatever, you know, like it's very different. You know, maybe you can go to your trendy friend and say, these are the things my designer picked out. What do you think? But all of those things fit in the box of what work for the house.
Exactly. And there's always a reason behind why we're selecting what we're selecting. So, you know, after we source items for a project, we always have either a phone call or a meeting in person to talk through, okay, why did we choose this sofa? Let's talk through it. Why are we choosing this rug? Why are we, you know, suggesting that you rearrange your appliances in your kitchen so that it can function better? So yes, it's about aesthetics, but it's also about how the space functions. And a big part of what I do for my clients is really keeping everything organized.
Yes.
Like
you are one of the most organized creatives I've ever met in my entire, actually you are the most organized creative I've ever met. I mean, it's, guys, when you work with Whitney, like, first of all, there's like a software and it's like all plugged in and like every room is spaced out. But not only that, she comes with her clipboard and she like literally creates a little box and says, check, I did it. Not on a phone, it's a little clipboard, and it's so organized and I love it because, I mean, just going back to like the function, you know, what you said about the function of the room, it's like a lot of people, I feel like, overlook just like those things. I mean, just like, I mean, I said it about furniture, but it's like just the flow of the room, the function of the furniture. Those are all things that I think every person should be able to enjoy.
Yes.
Even if you're moving into an apartment and you're like, oh, you know what, I want this it's a really expensive apartment. We have plenty of those in San Diego. So it's like, you want your apartment to look really nice.
Yes.
Work with an interior designer to make it function properly, make it look the best it can. Doesn't mean you spend like tens of thousands of dollars, but it's just like making it function and look the best it can in every space. So that your home is really your home. You're really happy there. Versus just like throwing some stuff in and calling it done. I mean, that's not it.
I think that's a really good point. And I think a lot of people, they a lot of times you can go into a space and just make like a few minor adjustments, add in a few things, and it can like literally transform your space. And one of my big things is like your space really affects you, whether you realize it or not. Any space that you're in affects how you feel. So that's why we want to go to these really nice restaurants that are like, you know, beautifully designed. You just feel better when you're in spaces that are beautiful. And so why shouldn't that happen in your own home where you spend a lot of your time, you know? So yeah, you don't need to have this insane budget to be able to have a nice space. And I think that's a really common misconception that people think that, oh, I don't have access to a designer. I can't, you know, I can't do that. You can, like
You can.
Yeah.
You really, really can. Especially working with you. I think it's like, you've really broken down the wall of like interior designer. You know, you really are like for the common people.
I'm trying to think of a better way to like say that,
It's
but like
true though, but it's like, but then like, you're just more like relatable too, you know? It's not like, welcome to my grandiose office where I have this, it's like, no, like you're us, you're one of us, you know, like this is really nice and easy. Another question. So you were talking about budget. What's some sort of budget that you think someone should set aside if they're doing, I want to be more specific instead of just a budget. Like, let's say we're doing not a remodel, but we're going to furnish, this is probably the most common thing, furnish a bedroom.
Right. Yeah, that is very common.
You know, like you're starting over, you're moving to an apartment or you're moving to your new house and you have no furniture that you want. What's maybe for a bedroom and living room?
Living room,
we'll
sure.
that.
Yeah. So, you know, it's funny because a lot of times people come to me, they don't have a budget in mind. They really don't. They're like, that's one of the questions I have on my intake questionnaire that I send out when we get inquiries is, what is your budget?
I mean, that makes sense.
Which
it's
like,
hard.
but it is, people don't really know how much things cost.
Especially nowadays.
Exactly. And so, a really big part of what I do is kind of guiding clients of what they're going to be what they should expect to spend and what we're looking at, because I mean, we have to, you know, decide on that first before we even begin talking about design.
Another role that an interior designer plays, creating a budget,
and sticking to it.
I honestly, like, I didn't even think that. Like, you're right. Every time we've worked together, it's like, what do you want to spend on a coffee table? What do you want to spend on dining chairs? What do you want to spend on a dining table? And it's like, I don't know, like $200? Like, I don't know. I mean, like, holy shit, a coffee table is like $600. Guess I got to up my budget from like spending nothing to something, you know? I mean, it's furniture costs money.
So,
you know?
It's getting expensive.
It's very expensive. I think people are like, oh, I'll just furnish my place for a couple $1,000s. It's like, no, you're not going to. It's going to be a lot more money. But it doesn't need to be like CB2 or like Article or like some other expensive brands.
Right.
You can get creative. And if you're really on a budget, I'm sure you could like go on OfferUp or like find used furniture or whatever other options there are for even like Amazon or 100%. Target. Like nothing wrong with those brands.
Target has like really stepped up their game.
Yeah.
We source from them a lot for our, you know, vacation rentals and things like that. But something that we like to do is we pass our trade discounts along to our clients. So that's another thing.
What's a trade discount exactly? And what does that mean exactly?
Good question. So as an interior designer, we have trade accounts set up with, you know, all the big store name places, like
blah, 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 blah,
blah. Like West Elm, CB2, Crate and Barrel, like all those types of stores we have trade accounts set up with. So they offer discounts to designers. Some designers will basically take that discount or the difference between the discount and the cost of the item, and that's part of their fee. Whereas I like to extend my trade discounts over to my clients. So we get anywhere from like 5% to 20% off at all of these stores.
Wow.
And so we pass that discount along to our clients so that, you know, again, it kind of offsets my price.
Got it.
And so that's something that, people are very excited about, like when I tell them.
Yeah, it makes some expensive brands a little bit more affordable.
Totally. Yep.
And that's another, okay, I keep like going back to you. Like, I really appreciate that you source things that are like from places that people even know, like Target, Amazon.
Yes.
It doesn't need to be these expensive places all the time.
Yes.
So
yes.
like for the people listening, like when you're designing a place, it doesn't always need to be, thousands and thousands of dollars. No. And I love that about you because it makes it just much more relatable and easy for people to be like, okay, yeah, I bought my stuff from Target and Amazon, and you know what? I bought that one thing from CB2 and I really love it, but it's like you work with the budget and you work with what's out there already, which is really, really, really great.
And I think it is important because, yes, you could just go to places like, CB2 and West Elm and Article and purchase everything from there. But why do that when you can mix things together and still get like an awesome look at the end, but you didn't spend, double or triple the amount of money. So I really like to try and like stretch the budget as far as I can without compromising quality or, the overall look.
I love it. This is kind of fun. So what are some design mistakes or poor choices you see people making?
This is a good one.
Just don't call out names of people that you...
Right.
I walked into Sam's house and it was this. Just
and it is kind of like, it's a blessing and a curse because, anywhere that I go, I notice like the smallest, littlest
and you've told
things.
Me these two. You've told me some of them.
Wait, turn your work brain off. Like, just focus on, but like, I'll just say this as a side note. Like, I can't go into my therapist's physical office because I get so distracted by the surroundings.
So
we just FaceTime.
Oh, okay. So that's one. Like, but too much stuff, too much clutter.
Yes. Also, like, just mixing a lot of different colors and patterns, which yes, that can work in some like let's say a Palm Springs Airbnb. Yes, you probably want to do that there because you know that's the vibe. But a lot of places I go into, it kind of looks like a hodgepodge because people are trying to do it on their own and they pick out things that they think, are cute at the time, but again, we're not thinking about big picture. How is this all mixing and interacting together? Scale is another huge thing that I see, like people, choosing something that's way too big for the space or way too small, rugs specifically. And probably my number one is hanging artwork way too high. It is like the bane of my existence. Like I absolutely... Yeah, it can really throw a space off. I'll just say that. So
I wasn't expecting that answer, but okay. What about like a little bit more generic, but like what are some like materials that you've seen that are just like ew? Or like for example, I went to a house the other day and the whole house was tile. The whole house was tile.
Yes.
And it's like you had no breakup of anything. Literally the whole house was tile.
Yeah.
Maybe in some cultures that like that's desired.
Yes.
But would you suggest to break it up? Like,
I would say
at least throw some other like materials in.
Yes, 100%. I would say I think typically you can do up to like 3 floors throughout a home. Like you could do carpet in bedrooms, tile in the bathrooms and entry, and then hardwood or LVP throughout the house. But yes, tile all over the house. I have been in homes like this.
You've told me about those. You've told me about those.
And it also hurts your feet to walk on them all day. It does.
What would you say is like your goal when you're working with a client?
Yes. So my overall goal is I want people's homes to feel like they basically did it, but with the help and guidance of a professional. So I don't want every single one of my projects to look like the next one. I want your house to look like your house. I don't want it to look like Whitney came in and did this, which is why I think when you look at, my Instagram and website, a lot of my projects do look really different because they're all reflecting what my clients' taste and style are. Like I don't have an agenda, I guess I should say, when I'm going in. I just want it obviously to look amazing, but I'm not trying to like push you to be like, okay, we need to do this, or, we have to do this rug, or we have to do this wall color. Like at the end of the day, I want you to be happy because you're going to be living in it.
Yep.
So
you've done that. We've worked together on a project, and you were working with another client. Her and I had very different styles, but you were able to still help that client achieve the design and the feel that they wanted while working with me on this like modern looking house.
Yes.
And I think that's also a misconception about working with an interior designer, is like you just pick it all out and like you just did it all for you. It's like, I think working with you, it's more of it's a collaborative effort.
Yeah.
Like you're like, this is like the client says, this is my vibe. This is my Pinterest or whatever.
Yes.
And then you help design around it.
Yes. And give options. Like
I
love giving options because again, I want you to be a part of the process.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I would say for Airbnb projects, a lot of times the client is very hands-off because it's not their personal home. They just, want us to stick to budget, make it look great, and get it done as quickly as possible. But with your own personal home, I want you to be a part of the process. Like, I want to work together. I don't want to just make all the choices and be like, okay, here you go. This is what we're ordering. Like it or not, and obviously if there's something I feel really strongly about that you should have or shouldn't do, then yes, I say something. But for the most part, whatever options I'm offering, I believe they all will work. So I think another thing is like, I really try to mold myself to my clients. So like when I'm sourcing for them, I'm really trying to get in their head of like, okay, let me think like Seth, or let me think like,
you really do. And I'm like, wow, that was like dark. I'm like, that was me. That was good. Okay, like when you found this like leather Porsche book, that I was like, that's like you pulled that out of my head and you picked that for me. Like, wow, that's amazing. Thank you.
And so, thank you. It is like, it's a lot of psychology that goes into it, and being able to work well with people and adapt to their style. And I think my staging background really comes into play with that, because we used to stage all different kinds of homes, big, small, super modern, craftsmen. And I really feel like now that I'm just focusing on design, that background really helps me to be able to do all these vastly different styles, from like coastal to modern to traditional, and everything in between.
It's the past that has kind of created us, right? Like,
that's right.
All of these past experiences have kind of come together to shape us who we are today. For me as well, and obviously for you.
Yes.
What are some current design trends that you're seeing?
I like to choose things that are as classic as possible while still feeling current. So while I obviously like look at Pinterest and follow trends and things like that, I don't do anything that's overly trendy, because I never want your space to look like, oh, we did that in 2021.
Yeah.
So I actually look for trends as a way more to kind of steer away from rather than leaning into. So like, something that was so popular back in the day was like everyone was doing gray floors, gray walls, gray exterior, all of that. And when it's catching on like that and so many people are doing it, it obviously means it's a trend. And so like, that it's eventually going to go out. So I really try my best when whether we're doing a remodel or, furniture, whatever the case may be, I really try to keep trends in mind, but not let them influence me too much. Okay. If that makes sense.
No, that's a really good point. Okay.
So,
wow.
But some trends that I see out there that I do implement that I think maybe aren't trends because I don't foresee them like ever going away is like plants everywhere. I mean, that's like something that I would say is trendy. Like a lot of people just love having plants everywhere. And that's something that I'm totally into. And I think it's something that will,
That'll be around forever.
Yeah, stay around forever.
That's a good one.
Okay. But, we see things like wallpaper. That was in, then it went out. Now it's back in again. And I do like using wallpaper in some instances, but like just carefully and tastefully, I guess
Those are really good.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we were just kind of thinking of something else, but like, what makes a good interior for a rental property?
This is a good question.
Because we have a lot of clients and listeners who own a lot of rental property.
Yes.
And so they don't want to obviously design it like their home,
right?
But they want to make it look nice.
Exactly.
So like, yeah, what are some like basics that would be, this is going to be a nice looking standard rental?
So I would say there's a couple things at play here. One is going back to budget, like thinking about what you want to spend and not spending too much on any specific piece, because chances are, you're going to have to replace it like within maybe 2 to 3 years, depending on how much wear and tear it gets. So we always think about like, okay, we don't want to spend thousands of dollars on any one item because you're likely going to replace it. Another thing that we think a lot about is like the color palette. So you don't want to do anything too light. You still want it to feel light and airy, but you don't want to do like super light upholstery or super light rug because, again, chances are it's going to get ruined. We always are thinking about how many people a vacation rental will sleep. We like to try and fit as many people into a home while still being comfortable, obviously. So we like to look at, okay, how many beds can we fit in each space? Do we do a pull-out sofa? Things like that. And then back to the plant thing, I really try to stay away from artificial plants in vacation rentals because I do think real greenery just adds so much. And in between turnovers, like the house cleaners can water them or whatever the case may be. But I feel like there's a big difference between the Airbnbs that we do artificial versus real greenery. Like it makes a huge difference. Cool. So I would say, and then lastly, because the vacation rental market is so saturated, like there are so many to choose from, you want to do something, again, not too trendy, but something that stands out from what everyone else is doing so that people are like attracted to your Airbnb. So whether that's like an amazing backyard oasis or like a cool Instagram worthy wall in the house or, really awesome artwork, like things like that to kind of help you like stand out.
Cool. Yeah. I mean, we're like done, but I personally want to know this, like, where do you see your personal business going?
Yes.
Like, not just in like, yes, in the short term, like the year, but like, where do you see Whit at Home in like 5 years?
Yes. So this is a really good question.
It's like we're with Angie right now.
I'm like, Angie, I'm channeling Angie, our business coach.
Our business coach, yeah.
So one thing, okay, so I think a lot of my long-term goals are all centered around still being accessible and being relatable, like two big words that came up a lot today. And I never want to lose that. Like, I don't want to, get to a point where I do have like a minimum or I do have a project that's, too small or like I want to be that designer that everyone can access. So with that in mind, I'm really interested in trying to create some kind of subscription-based platform. This is something I've been thinking about a lot lately, whether it's like a monthly fee that you pay that allows you access to basically like a phone a friend designer kind of option where like people can sign on for a specific amount of time, depending on their project size, and they just have access to have like a designer basically help guide them, but in a very like informal way, I guess I should say. So that's one thing that I'm kind of like toying with. But I also see us doing a lot more remodel type projects. So like that's kind of where things are headed right now. Like I'm doing a lot less vacation rental and Airbnb stuff and a lot more remodel, which I really like. It's a big learning curve, but really like it. And kind of being in-house with everything. So we do remodel all the way down to styling, so we'll remodel your house, then we'll furnish it, and then we'll style it at the end.
Wow.
Whereas like a lot of designers like to pick a specific part of that process and really hone in just on that, whether it's just the remodel or just the furniture. But I think it would be amazing if we could take it from start to finish, like from big picture all the way down to the pillow on the sofa.
Yeah, and it's also really nice because it's nice to have like a partner in it.
Yes.
When I was remodeling California Street, it was like, I'm just burnt out. I've been doing this like 9 months by myself. I'm like, I need someone else to help like take me to the finish line.
Yes.
But it's like if you have that person there the whole way, it's probably amazing. Is Whit at Home hiring? Anyone?
I was going to ask the same thing. Like, how do you duplicate yourself?
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Do you feel that there are other young Whitneys that like just want to kind of like be as personable and like as relatable as you?
Yep.
I feel like there are, but like
for sure. I feel like, so I just hired my first like full-time employee, Claire, who you've met.
We love.
And we love her. And she, when I was thinking about who I wanted to hire, I thought a lot about personality because you can't train someone how to have a personality and you can't train someone how to relate to the client. And that's like my number one thing is like relating to you. And so when I found Claire, she had that. Like she didn't have the design background that someone coming out of school has, their 4-year degree and X, Y, and Z, but she has the personality. And so like I can train someone on my processes and how I do things and how we source and how we design, but I can't train someone on how to be fun and like be enjoyable to be around and like, all of that. So
which is like I feel like is a pillar in your business.
Yes.
It's like relatable,
yes,
fun,
yes,
and just like just all like down to earth. Relatable is like the same thing.
Yeah.
But like
yeah.
Accessible is
Yes.
another like core pillar, but fun, which is the
Yes.
same in mine, is like fun. Like
Yes.
this should
This
be
should be
fun.
fun.
This should be fun.
We're designing your space. Like
Yes.
so many people do come to us that are, so overwhelmed and have decision fatigue. And they're so like, oh my gosh, there's so much to choose from. And that's where we come in. It's like, okay, let's like take a deep breath. I will keep us organized. We'll be on track. We'll be on budget. And let's like have fun while we do this because remodeling your house should be fun.
Yeah.
Like this is like, a lot of people don't get the opportunity to remodel their house. So like, let's have fun doing it.
Yep.
But I would say for right now, not hiring. Circling back to that, I feel like Claire and I are in a really good groove, and she's been with me now for like 6 months.
Yeah.
And so I think that the next person I do hire though would be more of like a admin based kind of hire. I think that's like the next, not another designer, but like another a admin kind of person.
Yeah.
There's a lot of like scheduling deliveries, following up with vendors, the calendar is like our Bible.
Yeah.
And so having like another set of eyes on that and someone who's just in control of that would be a huge help. So
I could see that.
Yeah.
Whitney, this has been the funnest podcast episode recording ever. I loved as I expected it to be.
And my first one.
Yeah. And you
So
did great.
exciting.
Again, I love watching you grow. I love
you.
like supporting you any way I can.
Thank
I really
you.
respect you.
Thank
and
you.
I'm really proud of you. And I'm just really happy that we're friends and colleagues as well.
you.
So thanks again for
Thank
coming
you,
on the
Seth.
show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I love you.
I love you too.